The Morning Dump from Hurrdat Sports with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
It's all smiles from the H&H stage, live from Hale Varsity Club, the H&H Chevrolet stage, I should say. It's Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, Morning Dump. We're still laughing about our last segment on Coffee and Cream when we were playing 2 for You, and Shane answered the question of something with wheels with the answer hot, and Damon answered the last question of the game. A College World Series team with the Astros. So let's just say this wasn't our best Wednesday, boys.
Should I have said big?
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Just say cars like normal people.
You know what? DB brought up a great point because the next question was flower, and you said sun. So you just put a word in front of the topic. So if we asked you, name a king, DB said you'd say
Burger.
Burger. And if we said name a queen, you'd probably follow up with dairy.
No, if he said, I don't know if I can say this, but if you said king, I'd probably say Richard Head.
And this is why here's our PSA: never choose Shane to play this game. Although, if you want pure entertainment, that Shane's your guy.
We still won Zach $10 though.
We did, out of nowhere.
We had to rally late.
I did not have hope. I thought we were going under the big tidal wave, and yet we came up on the other side.
Had to rally late.
But then it got us talking a little bit about other game shows, and you mentioned Match Game, and then
because that's kind of what it's like, right?
Right.
You want to give the easiest answer that you think people will say.
What's your favorite game show though today? Like if you're watching a game show, what are you looking for?
Well, I do watch the Game Show channel.
Game Show Network. Mm-hmm.
I like Pressure Luck.
The old version or Whammy, the new version?
Big Bucks, stop.
Uh-huh.
Wow, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. The guy with the little jackhammer.
Yeah.
Or
I like the one where they drop like food on you.
I like Card Shark.
So you like all the old ones?
I like old games.
You are up early in the morning to where
I like. I like
that's
the
when those
Pyramid
air.
Game.
Yeah, I love Pyramid.
I don't know any, but I do like currently I watch like Steve Harvey on the Family Feud.
Yeah, that's a great one.
But I still like the old Family Feud too. Like Family Feud is
with
just
Richard?
fun. Yeah.
Where he just kisses like every girl on stage, no matter how old or young you are.
Apparently he was the man.
Can you imagine like that being a thing today?
No. No. I can't. But I do like the Family Feud.
I'm a Wheel of Fortune guy. I love the wheel.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because I just like solving puzzles.
Yeah,
I like Jeopardy too.
I just think people get so greedy, and inevitably it's lose a turn or bankrupt.
What was LeBron's show? The Wall, right?
I have no idea.
Didn't he start a game show called The Wall?
I would probably not pay attention to many things that LeBron is doing outside of playing.
I think that was.
I was a little bit interested in the school for a while, but like the business ventures and the pizza chains and
there's a lot of good game shows.
And
the pizza chain that he started. What's it called?
I don't know, but it's
not Brickfire.
I don't know, but it apparently is like self-sustaining.
It's good. It's really good pizza.
Yeah, like he's not spending his basketball revenue.
Here we go. LeBron Pizza Chain. See, this is what we do on the dump. Blaze, that's what it's called. It's good pizza.
Blaze Pizza?
Yeah, it's really good. I don't know if there is one here in Omaha.
I don't think so.
I know there was one in Kansas City.
Blaze
Pizza. Oh, I just saw one in Omaha.
No way.
Q Street? Oh, that's in Lincoln. Wait. Yeah, it's in Lincoln.
So it's just Blaze?
Blaze Pizza in Lincoln.
Interesting. Maybe
next time you're up there.
Maybe he's pumping them in college towns.
Sounds like a good marketing tactic.
Yeah, right.
Why not? Now, also, I was on ESPN scrolling after the show, and I landed. And I'm a big mock draft guy. I don't know if you are.
I like mock drafts.
I like to see where people have certain players falling. And what's it? Jordan Reed? Jordan Reed of ESPN released one this morning. And I remember we had this conversation of, is it Bryce Young or is it C.J. Stroud? Like, who goes number one? And everybody still has Bryce Young. Bryce Young is still the, I wouldn't say the overly confident pick, but the consensus pick to go number 1. But when I looked at the odds then, Bryce Young is plus 110. C.J. Stroud is plus 130. So they're looking at that as more of a toss-up. And I think it's going to rest at who has the best combine.
And Stroud is the fresh one in our minds because of what just happened against Georgia, where he played out of his mind. Mm-hmm. And he actually showed the willingness to scramble and run.
And that's something we haven't seen.
He had done so reluctantly up until that point. So,
and that's an interesting point, too, because that's something of Bryce Young's it's something that's in his tool belt, I should say. The ability to scramble, make plays, extend plays. It's what people kind of look for now in a quarterback, especially with how the NFL game has changed. But you look at C.J. Stroud, and he's a big boy and a pocket passer, and you can get away with that too.
Yeah.
And if he can show that he can use his legs, now you're going size over speed. And what would you rather have? Would you rather have the size? Because that's like Patrick Mahomes isn't the fastest quarterback. He can scramble, and he's so versatile, and that's what makes him so special.
He's so accurate on the move.
Correct. But C.J. Stroud can do similar things.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see, because I think with like Mahomes, it's such a – I'm always reluctant to use that as a comp because I think he's so unique.
Yeah, he's one of a kind.
And maybe you think Josh Allen is close, but just the accuracy on the move and the arm angles and the ease and the relative ease in which it looks like he's doing it. I mean,
Mahomes' IQ is far superior to Josh Allen's.
And, sometimes you don't even know who Mahomes is throwing to.
Well, because he doesn't need Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill.
He's got Tony looking like
Tony, I thought, was a great player coming in.
And, but nobody's been able to crack the Kadarius Tony.
And it's also because he played for the Giants.
Max, and he's been hurt, right?
Yeah, he's been hurt a lot.
I mean, Sunday he looked like $1 million, and it's like, well, he's throwing him open.
Because you would
he's hitting
think
him on
Juju
back shoulders.
is the guy there, outside of Kelsey, because everybody knows Kelsey. But wide receiver-wise, you would think it's Juju just based on what he's been able to do in his career. Not so much. He likes his smaller, speedy guys, and that's what Tony is.
I thought Juju would, and he had a drop in the end. It would have been a tough catch Sunday, but I thought it was one Juju should have.
He just hasn't impressed me.
Yeah, and as a Steelers fan, I think that's why they were able to move him. Right, just because.
Did he emerge when AB was still there?
Yeah, but he's a good 2 or 3. He's not a 1. Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of use him correctly, and I think he's a body catcher. He'll get you the spectacular, but boy, will he not make the routine sometimes. So it's like, I think he's one of those guys that you have to utilize with who else is around him.
5 years ago, maybe. When did he go off? Was it about 5 years ago?
17, maybe 18. 18?
Okay.
Was it 18? Because it would have been
5 years ago.
It would have been his contract year that they didn't. That the Steelers moved on from.
So regardless of the date, the following year we had a fantasy draft, and we started a dynasty fantasy league, and a member of our league took Juju first receiver off the board.
It was 18.
So first receiver off the board in 2019, he took Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
Out of every other name on that list that you can probably think of, Tyreek Hill, you took him before Stephon Diggs. You took him before.
In 18, he had 166 targets, 111 catches, and almost 1,500 yards.
Every other big name receiver, but
still only 12 per reception. Even though he had a long of 97 or whatever, 7 touchdowns. But that was the moneymaker year. And listen, he's got 76 for 900 right now, just the 3 touchdowns. But it's not like he's not a. That's a lot of people would like that in a season, right?
Right.
So it's and listen, if he has a good day, Sunday, gets his hundo, he's a 1,000-yard receiver, and has got a chance to get it as they'll probably move on into the playoffs a fair ways.
Now, do you think the Bears, who are sitting at 2 right now,
Duh, Bears.
would trade their pick? Because it's Jalen Carter is a stud. Will Anderson Jr. are both studs. Whoever they get defensively, they will be so much better. But one player doesn't change your defense. Like, you're going to have to get more up front.
Don't tell that to the Steelers when
I
J.J.
guess when
Watt doesn't play.
T.J. Watt. Yeah,
I said J.J. T.J., not the retiree.
You make a good point there. Is Jalen Carter that guy? Maybe. Because is he Chase Young? It's like that's Chase Young is who we drafted at 2.
I don't know.
And the reason I say trade?
For as good as both Bosa's are, but let's start in San Francisco. That defense is so good, and he's putting up great numbers. When you think defense, do you think just Bosa, or do you think San Francisco in its totality?
I think Bosa.
Gosh, I kind of think them in its totality.
And that's because they are so good. But if you ask me to name a player on the defense, you say with Bosa.
Can one
and, that's an interesting point now that you say that, because now I'm starting to think when we got Khalil Mack, one player on the defense really stood out. Now, they had good secondary players too. But when you look at the Bears now,
I mean, even for
Eddie
all the
Jackson,
love, even for all the love that Urlacher got, I mean, Briggs was the guy, at least for me.
Yeah,
watching that defense. So I don't know about but you do need that. You do need that guy.
You need the high-profile player.
You need the pass.
To stand
you need
out
a pass
team.
rusher. Mm-hmm. I think.
So, but can you trade down and find a better? Because if you're trading up at this point, you're thinking, hey, if I am, we'll just say who needs a quarterback right now? The Raiders. Yeah. So you're like the Raiders, right? And you're like,
Colts.
watch it be a Raiders-Bears trade again. Leave it to the Raiders to need.
Yeah, because that'll go over well.
The Raiders acquiring Khalil Mack.
But you think about this, too, and you may even think the Colts in this situation. Both of those teams will be fighting for C.J. Stroud. And if the Raiders are really bought in to jump 5 picks to get to 2, I mean, they may not have to, but you're also wanting to make sure that the Colts don't then jump you.
Well,
so you're going to jump.
Are you assuming that Seattle's going to take a quarterback?
No, I would assume based on what I'm seeing.
You want the leftovers between Carter and Anderson.
Yep, that's who I think is going 3. But
I don't know, man. Seattle may take a quarterback.
And if they do, even better for the Bears, right, in this situation. So if you look at this and you're like, hey, the Raiders are going to trade up, say even the Seahawks trade up, say the Colts trade up. We saw what the Bears did when they traded up for Trubisky. The 49ers got a boatload. They got another first-round pick. They got the pick to follow, and they got another, I think, pick later on in the following drafts. If you were to trade, think about what the Bears could then do to build their team. And you just look at how things are kind of shaped out. Is there a team that has multiple first-round picks this year?
Well,
the Seahawks have 2.
Yeah.
So, what you could do is, say the Seahawks really wanted Stroud and were worried about the Colts. They trade up. You go back to 3 and take their other pick in the first round.
Texans have 2.
No, they have 1. Texans have 1.
They don't. They do?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking actual literal number.
Oh.
Okay. My bad. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Talking about number of picks.
You're right.
Number of picks in the round.
Do the Lions have 2?
Now that I'm not sure.
The Lions do have 2 first-round picks. So you're looking at a lot of teams that either need quarterbacks or could potentially be looking at quarterbacks.
So all those trades when the last couple of years when you're like, gosh, this is interesting. Teams in the NFL are now starting to stockpile draft picks versus going through free agency in these trades because we were seeing mid-season trades. These are where all these trades are starting to come home to rooster these next couple of years.
I'd be really interested and intrigued to see
the Boston
Bears
Celtics
trade.
of the NFL.
And if the Bears do trade, say they don't trade with the Seahawks and get the pick to follow, but say they trade with, the Lions because they have a pick later on too, do you get a guy you're looking for at 6? Now you're running into that, dicey territory.
So are you – I think a lot of that will depend on the quarterback situation because you know that you've got – a few. Somebody's going to take a chance on Richardson. You're assuming Young and
and C.J. Stroud. I think there's 4 quarterbacks that go top 10.
Levis, in my opinion, this is why I saved him for last, is kind of the wild card because, I could see where you could fall in love with him with drills.
Is he Josh Allen or is he Zach Wilson?
Yeah, because, man, he has a hose. I don't think he's the athlete that Allen is, but very few in the NFL are at that size as a 240
Remember the drill
pounder.
people fell in love with was Zach Wilson at the Combine when he threw off his back foot for 80
I think
yards.
a lot of that has to do with his immaturity. So I don't, I'm sure they'll get inside Levis's mental makeup, but, statistically speaking, kind of a lot like Richardson, where they ain't you numbers-wise, but their physical gifts, because we've seen this for 50 years now in the NFL with the quarterback spot, may be too much to pass up.
Last thing we'll touch on before we let you go, when I say let you go, the listeners, I guess I'll let DB go too. The running back that everybody is kind of keeping an eye on, Bijan Robinson. In other drafts, he was projected to go to the Eagles, which I thought was kind of weird. I think that was in McShay's opening mock draft.
Well, the Eagles have 2 picks in the first round, right? They pick again at the end.
They pick at the end.
Crazy with their roster in the season they've had.
But Jordan Reed has Bijan Robinson to the Lions.
Even with Swift?
Even with Swift and the way that Jamal Williams is playing.
Yeah, that's a nice tandem. How about Swift the other day? I liked him coming out of Georgia.
I
he was
loved
my
it.
favorite
I thought
of
he
that
was
crop of the backs.
I thought so too. I could not believe.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic.
But I thought he was the best all around. I couldn't believe Clyde Edwards-Helaire went before him in the draft.
No, I get it. And how about this, though? Speaking of the Chiefs, how about them maybe going to get another back with a guy like Gibbs potentially? I see a lot of people think Jahmyr Gibbs goes there. Can you imagine and look what McKinnon's been able to do for Kansas City.
They don't need a running back. You know what I mean? Because they hardly use running backs, but when they do, they take flyers on different people, Pacheco, McKinnon, and make it work.
I was shocked to see some mocks that had Gibbs going to the Chiefs. But he may be too good. He may be too good to pass.
It's nice having a team where you can just you don't have to worry about
your quarterback.
He's right.
Or signing your running back.
You can just go get whatever you want. And you can just stockpile.
Yeah, I'm not even going to get into that. I don't know how we got into Josh Jacobs months ago, but it just stuck in my craw.
Oh, because he ran for 220 yards.
I don't even think
he
was coming off a good performance yet. I thought
that was his huge game that he had when he ran that touchdown in overtime.
I think it was something I saw on social media. Oh, I was talking with Nick on our sister station in Lincoln about it because I think that's what started me delving into Josh Jacobs because I think he said something like he's okay. So that just prompted me because I think that's what most people think.
Right.
Because he's not on the lips and it's not.
Well, and
it's
he
not
just doesn't get the attention that he deserves.
So that got me to kind of delve into it because I'm like, I think this guy's pretty good. I need to go back and look. He's pretty good.
And I'm a big, I love stories, and his story is incredible. So I'm a big Josh Jacobs fan, and I'd be curious to see if he sticks around or not.
And I apologize, Shane, because we were talking about a team that is not going to pick up the 5th option on either of their first rounders that year, the Los Angeles Raiders.
Either or all 5.
Yeah, that's right. No Abraham either. No Abraham, no Jacobs, and no Clelin Ferrell. Wowzer.
I wish they were the Los Angeles Raiders.
And
I really, really do.
Does how quickly that thing turned south bug you with Carr? A year and a half ago, I thought he was the most underappreciated quarterback in the NFL. Mm-hmm. A year and a half later, he's going to be on a new team.
Yeah, when did they go 13-3? Was that 2 years ago?
And his numbers were so consistent. He was 3,800 and 29, 30 touchdowns, it seemed. All the time.
This reminds me of a quarterback that used to play in Detroit. And what happened?
A quarterback that used to play in
Matt
Detroit.
Stafford?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was going to say Rodney Peete.
But Matt Stafford was at least good.
But this is what we're going towards now in the NFL. As in, you're going to have a guy that's around for a while. He's going to be the best best guy on your team potentially, and then you're going to dump him to try and redo the whole thing, and wherever he goes is probably going to be a pretty good fit, or could be a pretty good fit, and may even do better.
Yeah, but Matt Stafford, wasn't he the number 1 overall pick? Right?
Yeah.
So, Derek Carr and Matt Stafford just aren't on the same.
I'm not saying they're on the same level. I'm just saying it has the making of the same type of
I
star.
understand, the
Carr
idea
has had
behind
seasons,
it.
though.
Carr has. I mean, he had that
32
12-4 season. And
32 and 13 touchdowns to interceptions. He's gone 28 and 6 touchdowns to interceptions. He's gone 22 to 8 touchdowns to interceptions. He's gone 27 and 9 touchdowns to interceptions. So I think it's interesting. Now, throughout his career, his completion percentage continually went up from 2015 through 2019. He has then descended since then. 68, 67, and this year
you put
60.
You put Derek Carr on the Chiefs. He's Alex Smith.
I could see that.
Yeah, that's just kind of how I look at him when he goes to various teams.
I'll be curious to see what happens with Devontae Adams, considering that's why he went to the Raiders.
Well, if they get a quarterback, he'll be.
Yeah, but he's going to be unproven.
That's true. That's true.
Derek Carr, when he tries to take the game into his own hands and tries to make a play and tries to turn the game around, more often than not, it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Can you win the game? Although, man, memory serves me correctly, he did have some comebacks in the league in terms of rankings.
Yeah.
But it changes in a hurry.
He is a surprise.
That's what happens as a quarterback.
It'll be interesting to see how things shake out, and we'll continue to monitor that, as the NFL draft approaches, but we still have a lot of time to go. Tomorrow in particular, DB and I will talk a little bit of the NFL playoff picture and the things that can now change heading into Week 18, so stay tuned for that. But that's where I'll leave this conversation. Check out Morning Dump wherever you get your podcasts. That's Apple, that's Spotify. Follow Damon Benning on Twitter, at Damon Benning. Follow myself, at Andrew Rogers TV. You can follow the show at Hurrdat Sports. That's Morning Dump. But if you're looking to follow the radio show, which is Coffee and Cream in the morning, you go to at HVarsity Radio on Twitter. We'll see you tomorrow.